Okay. I will also tell you this is that if you don't think your business is growing fast enough, the only cure for that is more personal activity. I'm just telling you how it is. Okay. I am just telling you how it is. I had this conversation with some guys last night. I did kind of a welcome call. And let me say this before I get onto that point again is one thing I would recommend when you get somebody new in the business is introduce them to somebody in your upline. Okay, somebody who's had a little bit of success already. They've gotten some customers, they're getting some checks or whatever it might be. Okay, because it helps to reassure that person they made a good decision. Because a lot of it's just we're hoping it works, right? Okay, I don't have to hope it works because I've seen this movie before, but this movie's really good. Okay, this is a really good movie. But back to creating activity. I got to remember this saying. The speed of the pack is determined by the leader a lot of times. Okay, and at my very first training, and some of you have heard this before, but a lot of you are brand new in here. The very first training I ever went to in 1994, I heard a guy say something that changed my life. Okay, and I told this to these guys last night. He said that basically, if you can learn to be a good recruiter and create activity that is an income producing activity of getting people to take a look at the business, to listen to the messages, and just basically introduce them to the story. The more times you do it, you'll win, right? And then he said basically this. He said, you can't control how many tomatoes a tomato plant produces. You can only control how many tomato plants you plant. That was of everything that happened in a 2-day training. However many years ago, what is that, 23 or so years ago, that I remember, it was that thing. That was the only thing I remember. Besides that guy having a worse hillbilly accent than myself, was that. Okay. I just started to learn that, hey, if I wanted to grow a group, I had to first start growing myself and then learn the skills, but then take massive massive action. Okay. If you want massive results, you have to take massive action, period. That's how it works. There's no shortcut. Okay. I know everybody wants the secret, but there is no secret. The secret is if you want more results, you got to take more action. That's all it is. And 9 times out of 10, it just comes down to me. If I don't think I'm getting promoted fast enough, I don't start calling my downline saying, would you go recruit people? I literally start recruiting people. And I keep recruiting people because you know why? Because you just never know. Like this past week, I sponsored 2 people that I touched base with 4 to 6 months ago. When I basically said, hey, I just joined this thing, and I didn't. And then they both had watched some of my stuff. And then what I did is I just dripped some information on people, right? And I sent them both the Holton Bugs video that from the keynote that he did at Vegas. Okay. The other thing that happened to me, and I'm staying on this point because it's important if you get this. The other thing is a couple years later after the tomato story, I ran into a guy that was younger than me, was in his late 20s, and he'd built a huge organization, which seemed like almost overnight to me. And my group really wasn't that big at that point. And I said, how'd you do that? And he pulled out, because this is pre-internet basically, and definitely pre-cell phone, pre-genealogies online. And his downline report was about that thick, right? It was a paper downline report. And he looked at it and he gave it to me. And he said, well, look at the first page. And I want you to tell me if you see anything, that you notice anything. And on there, he saw he had these personals there. And he had personally enrolled 82 people over like a year and a half's time. And he said, now look at their number. He said, I want you to notice and look at how many people each one they've sponsored. So I went through and it said Lisa 0, Tom 1, Ray 3, Mark 5, Betsy 0, Pat 1, Nick 1, Tanya 0, and then 0, 0, 0, and then 48. And, like Larry, 48. And then same scenario, couple 0, 0, 1, 2, 5, 22, 0, 0, 0, 60, whatever. So out of all these people that he'd personally recruited, that he went after, he then said, go look at the guy with the three people that had the most. And it was the 60, the 40, and the 20 guy, right? And I went and looked at the 40 guy because you could pull it up and take a guess what the scenario looked like. The exact same scenario was laid out. 0, 1, 0, 5, 0, 15, 0, 3, 3, 0, 0, 0, 40, or whatever it might have been. He goes, he just said, look, I only focus on what I can control, not what I can't control. And that was something that stuck in my head. Again, this was an experience I had probably, 19 or 20 years ago. And what I learned to do was I learned to always say less to more people as quickly as I could, use every tool at my disposal to get the story in front of people. Like by the time somebody has signed up with me, in most cases, they've seen probably 10 things minimum. I send them the sizzle call. I obviously plug them into the Facebook group, the 5-star, which you just created not too long ago. I'll text them, the link to one of the YouTube videos. I send them to iDecide. I send them to the recordbreakinggrowth.com. I send them testimonies, whatever I think can drip on people so they can hear it and hear it and hear it and hear it. Okay. As most people, even from a marketing standpoint, they basically, they get dripped on over a period of time, and that's how they make their decision. Okay. Then the other story that I heard, and I'll leave you with this last story, was a farmer. Okay. Or not, this isn't the last one. Here's more my story keeps playing out. Okay. Of these things that were the turning points for my networking business. The first book I ever read in network marketing was by Big Al, Tom Schreiter. It's called Big Al Tells All. About that big. It's blue. It's sitting over on my desk or my bookshelf right there. And in it, he talked about the oyster story. He said, hey, what if I told you every in this bucket of 100 oysters, there's 4 that have pearls in them. That'll pay, the equivalent wealth of these 4 pearls is worth $100,000 a year to you. How fast would you go in there, pick up an oyster, open it, and if you didn't find a pearl, what would you do with it? In most cases, people will take that oyster and go, oh, please, geez, I hope you have a pearl. Please develop into a pearl. Chuck them and go. That's how I figured out how to do this. I open it up. There's no pearl popping out, right? You just got to work the numbers. You work the numbers. There's no magic formula to this. There isn't. And I can tell you that the top people in my own genealogy, the people that have the largest teams, take a wild guess what they have in common. Go ahead, say it. They've recruited the most people. Okay, because they're working the odds as quick as possible. Another story I heard somebody train on, for every ace you flip over in a deck of cards, I'll give you $10,000. Grab a deck of cards and take a card, and if it's a 5 comes up, just sit there for a month and wait for that 5 to somehow miraculously change into an ace. Ain't happening, right? You keep flipping. Okay, quit getting hung up on somebody who this is not for. They're out there. I'm telling you, they're out there. The reason that that some people don't have quicker success than others I'm telling you with everything in me, it is not skill level. As far as like being the sharpest and the brightest, because I can find you people that if I sat them in a room with a group of business professionals, you would look at that person, the way they dress, comb their hair, smell potentially, think they're the least likely to succeed. And some of them have the biggest checks in the room because they just out hustled, the guy with the suit and tie on. Telling you that's the key. Okay. And the last dumb story analogy, but hopefully this gets in your head, was a guy that was a dairy farmer. The guy wanted to be a dairy farmer because he had just bought a house in the country, and right up the street with this guy was this guy that had a huge ranch, right? Huge ranch. Had the big Escalades in the driveway, had all the nice equipment, had a boat in the driveway, but he had a lot of cows out on his pasture. So this guy goes out and gets 2 cows. Okay, 2 cows that he had just gotten. And every day he sits and he goes out and he milks these 2 cows, and he sells the milk for the 2 cows. The next day he goes out and tries to crank out some milk out of these 2 cows. Well, then that afternoon he wanted to go, he goes out again and tries to milk those cows. That same afternoon, later on that evening, goes out and try to milk those cows. And those same cows, for some miraculous reason, aren't producing more milk. So this guy gets frustrated and says, dairy farming don't work. And he goes up to the guy and he complains to the other guy. He says, look, I've been seeing you making all this money and you've got the dairy cows and I've gotten my 2 dairy cows. Why am I not rich? And the old farmer looks at him and says, if you want more milk, you got to get more cows. Ta-da! Congratulations on your giant epiphany of network marketing guru success. Believe it or not, that's really as simple as this gets. 10 and 2 is all you do, right? 10 and 2 is all you do, and you just work the numbers. You just make contacts. And what will happen if you do that? Here's the magic. Here's the not magic, but the thing that will happen for you is if you try different ways of approaching people and making contacts, whether it's collecting business cards, making phone calls, sending texts, doing Facebook Lives, doing the 5-star business group, going to a meeting, like a business groups meeting or whatever. What'll happen is you will notice that there will be some certain aspects of what you're doing will become more comfortable to you based on your personality type. And the more and more comfortable you get with it, the faster you'll be able to produce results because you'll be able to niche it in. That's kind of what happened to me is I had to learn what worked for me and stuck with it. Like I don't have a very long attention span. I'm pretty impatient, right? But I'm very tenacious and I will go after something very, very hard or very, very aggressively to get things done. Okay. And I'm competitive, obviously. But if you do these things, if you keep them simple to the fact of add a handful of people a day to the 5-star business group and tag them in that first post. I'm telling you, if you get people to listen to that sizzle call, if you get them to listen to that sizzle call, the one that's the posted one that I just showed you a minute ago, you'll get people that inquire about it. I'm just telling you, you will. If your objective, if your goal, if I told you that no matter what, you got 1,000 people, okay, because I'm going to give you a number that seems hard. If I told you that if you had 1,000 people look at that video yourself, you had 1,000 people look at it, that guaranteed I would hand you $1 million, would you or would you not do it? More than like some of you would say yes, but some of you wouldn't go do it, right? But that's literally what's sitting, looking you in the face. And I've learned the numbers, the law of large numbers. Go find Jim Rohn's CD, How to Build Your Network Marketing Business, track 6. The law of large numbers. Law of large numbers dictates that if you do something long enough, a ratio will appear, right? It's uncanny. It's just magical. It's a universal law, whatever it might be. But that's all it is if you just work the numbers, you talk to more people quicker. If you bust through 100 people, you'll sign people up. It's inevitable because what we have makes sense. What we're doing is a brilliant concept. Our business model works. Our business works. You just have to get away from the people as quick as possible that are not interesting. Go to, if you haven't heard it, go to the myreptraining.com, scroll down on the start page and listen to the Holton Bugs Cash Cow audio on there. Now it's 3 hours long, but just the first couple minutes of it will change your life. And then if you keep listening to it, because if you have your own YouTube account, you listen to a YouTube video, or remember where you left off, listen to half an hour now, and then in your car later, listen to another half an hour and so on. You can bite size it, obviously. But if you do that, I'm telling you with everything in me, you'll start to hear these things and start to believe these things. You'll start to believe these things because a lot of people want that instant gratification, microwave pudding society kind of stuff, results, and it's hard to get. In fact, it's impossible in networking. Okay, this is a marathon, but you can do sprint activities. Like I have a life. Like I have a life, and I've learned to not burn myself out as well. Like some days I will wake up and I really won't feel like doing anything, so I'll do I'll do something, but I'll do maybe a minimum amount. Like maybe I'll make 3 contacts just because I got to make sure I do something. But the next day I'll wake up and I'll be just like, let's go get this thing. I'm running through the wall today, and I might make 10. And the following day I might make 4. And the following day I might make 15 or whatever it might be. But over a period of time, the most important thing is I stay consistent. And if you give yourself a realistic expectation of things that you can do, that you know you can hold yourself accountable for, because the number one skill you need to learn is not prospecting, recruiting, or anything. It's discipline. That was the hardest thing for me. It's still the hardest thing for me is discipline. All the diet, everybody knows how to lose weight, right? Eat salads and tuna. Okay. But the discipline to do it is what people fail with. It's the same in networking. I can tell you to go talk to 100 people and you'll make $1 million, right? Or 1,000 people and you make $1 million. But the discipline to do that is where you have to get better at it. So your most important strategy you could do is listen to the things, watch the people, be inspired by the things that you need to be inspired by that help you get stronger in your disciplines to do the daily activities. Because if you do that, that's how you grow this thing. Okay, I'm telling you, if you go meet all the diamonds, current diamonds in our company, probably the biggest factor is they've become disciplined in doing specific activities over and over and over and over and over again. Okay, and that's really what it comes down to. Again, it's just a law of large numbers. But if you learn those things, I'm telling you, with everything in me, you're going to have a result. Okay, if 10 and 2 is all you do, then you teach 10 and 2. Okay, edify to somebody and make sure that you compliment people and so on like that are doing the right activities. Okay, that's what eventually I'm going to figure out how to really show everybody and promote everybody and edify people that are doing a great job in here and getting promoted. Because as soon as we're this close as a company to really start getting momentum. Okay, we're not there yet. I'm just telling you, there's a lot of stuff going on. But momentum usually happens to where you start seeing, everybody starts hearing about it, usually after a company hits about 100,000 people in the company. Okay. So what's going to happen? I'll make you, because I've seen this movie. I've told you that. What's going to happen is very simply this, is you're going to plant seeds. Some of them may or may not come to fruition anytime soon. But what will eventually happen is more and more stuff is going to keep coming out. More and more stories are going to keep coming out. And pretty soon, other people are going to start talking to the same people you talked to 6 months ago. But they may remember that you're the one that talked to them, okay? Or you're the one that's been following up with them, sending them a video, and sending them a video, every once in a while. Like a lot of times too, I got to be quiet because I'm a rambling now. But this one thing, what I've done to recruit some networkers and how I get them to look at stuff is if you can get somebody to listen to Holton Bugs, you'll sign them up pretty much, in my opinion, if they got a pulse. What I've done to get some of these networkers that I'm friends with to listen is I said, hey, I'll give you a perfect example. Hey, Tony, I know you're doing really well with your current company, but Holton is definitely the greatest leadership speaker I've ever heard. Check this out when you get a second. I'm sure you can pull some nuggets out of his video. Did you get that? Okay. If not, go back whatever time that I'm on here to do this and remember it. Hey, Tony, I know you're doing really well with your company. Very happy for your success, but I know you recognize a good leader when you see one. If you get a second, listen to how this amazing leadership speech by Holton Bugs. Maybe you can use something in it. And I never send stuff to pitch people. I send stuff and tools, and I edify the tool as something that's going to make them better as a person. If you do it that way, as opposed to, hey, watch this video so you can sign up with me and I make a fast start on you, you will have better success. It's just marketing. It's just a strategy of how to get people to listen to you, right? And then you start working the things and you get to be a what? A diamond, right? That's my diamond shirt again. I'm just showing it to you. I'm bragging to you. Anyhow, so I did not mean to be this long-winded, but hopefully you're getting some stuff out of this. And these are points that have worked. There are things that have worked. I've done them over and over and over and over. And yeah, it can get monotonous. Literally, we'll be telling the same story in 5 years, the same story. And you should be bored out of your mind by doing it, because people don't understand that the new person's never heard it. So don't try to make it fancy. The new person has not heard it. And you've seen the trainings that I've done, and go watch them if you haven't. They're asking themselves 2 questions. And the only 2 questions you have to really answer is it worth doing and can I do it? Is it worth doing and can I do it? Okay. And if you find what their peel their onion back and figure out what their deepest, darkest desire is for success, for family, for money, or whatever it might be, and show them how this is a vehicle to help them achieve it, you win every time. Okay. That's really what it comes down to. So anyhow, you guys are fantastic. I am going to shut my pie hole, because otherwise I'm going to keep on going. And I know I got, I can't remember. I got a call. I got a Zoom I got to do with somebody, a prospect here in a little bit. If I did my math right, I should be good as far as when it's supposed to be done. But here's what I tell you. Make sure if you got people that you didn't know, watch this, tag them in this video itself underneath, put their name in the thing. I appreciate it. But I really believe that if you go out there and work, there's only like 5 days left in the month. You can get a lot done in 5 days if you take massive action. Okay. You can get a lot done in 5 days if you take massive action. You will get yourself. If you are not dual team qualified, it's on you. Okay. It's on you. I learned to do whatever it took to get certain things accomplished. I learned to do whatever it took to get certain things accomplished without excuses. If it didn't happen, then it was on me. It wasn't on anybody else. Okay. I take responsibility for my promotions or not promotions. Okay. You should do the same. But I'm telling you, if you start applying these things and start seeing how successful they are, you get these little wins. You get a customer here. Same thing with remember this: everybody you approach to get as a rep, if you do it real fast, every single one that says no, give them a boomerang. You win either way. You absolutely win 100% of the time if you do it correctly. Hey, watch this video. Well, no, I'm not interested in the business. I like working my 75 hours of work a week and not seeing my kids and not getting vacation. Great. I'm happy for you. Keep that up. That sounds fantastic. Don't shoot yourself too anytime soon, but why don't you use one of my boomerangs in case you go on a trip this year? I don't know if you're going to be able to. Sorry, I didn't mean to get sarcastic here. I think the caffeine kicked in along with my protein shake. Anyhow, Mike's going to shut his pie hole, get going on here. If you'll do today what others won't, you will live tomorrow like others can't. And by the way, I got some pretty good checks coming in, and I'm going to show you a video of what I just bought. And it's definitely not what you would think. Okay. So I'll post that video here in a little bit as soon as I can get it up. So talk to you guys in a bit. Have a great one and keep up the good work. See you guys.